What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
You are wonderful. Thank you. I've worked hard to become so.
RadioWhat.com. What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Check availability, get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me. Yeah, me, Keys Dan. At your event. I like to play for the people. Speaking of playing for the people, coming up on the program today, I have Brass Monkey out of Northeast England. What is a Brass Monkey out of Northeast England? Well, you'll know in the next few minutes. You got that to look forward to in your ears. This week's shows, well, it's Thanksgiving week, so I have one public show, and that is on Friday night, Black Friday, at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. It's the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Yes, every week you could hang with me at the Rab, or at least most weeks, Friday night, you'll find me at the Rab. They have the full bar, the kitchen, the pool tables. They also have a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to get involved with that, possibly make some money at the Rab while you're waiting to sing a song on stage with me, go talk to Mark, talk to Debbie, and maybe you could be a part of the pool tournament Friday nights at the Rab. And then on the party patio, they have shuffleboard, foosball, darts, and then they also have giant Jenga game, checkers. That's Friday night at the Rab. Starts at 8 p.m. and it goes all the way until almost 2 in the a.m. Exciting. All right, without further ado, let's talk to Brass Monkey out there in North England, calling or Skyping Brass Monkey now.
Hello.
Brass Monkey, please.
Hello there.
The Funk Monkey Metal. Am I speaking to Brass Monkey?
You are indeed, yes.
Fantastic. I know, I sound kind of excited. And it's 1:30 in the a.m. in northeastern England where you are. If in case you haven't noticed, this is Keys Dan with the What Makes You Famous podcast here in Conway, Arkansas, in the United States of America. So, how's life in northern England?
It's good. A bit cold and rainy at the moment, but never gets our spirits down.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about, give me the bio of Brass Monkey. And is that how I should address you?
Yes. Yes, please. I'm a soloist, an acoustic singer-songwriter from Northeast England. I've started releasing music with a band backing, though. I'm doing gigs as a soloist, but hopefully that'll develop into a band project as I go. I've been doing gigs around the northeast of England for the past couple of years now, started getting bigger gigs more recently. Before that, I was on the open mic circuit for a few years. I'm self-taught. I honestly never expected to get into music. But I started playing for my own pleasure, received good feedback, was encouraged to start writing original songs. So I always had written songs for my own amusement, but they certainly weren't worth releasing. So I started trying to write in earnest, something that would get, people's feet tapping and heads bobbing. And yeah, I got really good feedback on the open mic circuit and developed from there. Until I started doing, like I say, bigger gigs recently, and it's been going really well, better than I could have expected.
Now, I do want to know about this big gig that you just recently finished. Am I correct? You just did a major gig, Mr. Brass Monkey.
I did. I was last night. I was supporting Ryan McCombs at Think Tank Newcastle. For the few people who don't know who Ryan McCombs is, he was the lead singer of Drowning Pool for their third and fourth album after he was the lead singer of Soil. He was then the lead singer of Soil again. He's currently living in England. He's living down south because, this is where his wife lives, so he's relocated, still got the strong American accent, but apparently when he goes home, people accuse him of picking up little nuggets of the English accent. Not like mine, more of a southern accent, but yeah, it was that was arranged through SSD Concerts, and it was an absolute honor to be invited.
Well, I could see that, Brass Monkey. To us Yanks, your English accent is quite infectious, and that's for sure. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I think I'm speaking on behalf of many others. You do have a distinctive singing style, and let me tell you, I do want to delve in deeper into last night's show, because coming off of that, it's got to be a high. But you do have a very distinctive style, and I've never heard your speaking voice, but I did not expect it to be so smooth. Your singing is so raspy and, dare I say it, metal. And I guess it's one thing to do covers, but you do have a couple of original tunes, and I know I've thrown a couple of things at you. Anything you want to expound upon, Mr. Brass Monkey?
My vocal style for that, I do have a lot of original songs as well, and some of them are a bit softer and more ballady. But the signature style of my releases and my most popular songs in public are really inspired by grunge, especially Dave Grohl. So I suppose I've lent a few of his vocal techniques when I was starting out. In all honesty, when I started out, I didn't have as much confidence in my voice as well, so it seemed easier to scream than to sing, so to speak. And I've sort of mixed that with actual singing as I gain more confidence and more ability in my voice. Narc Magazine compared me to Alabama 3 and described me as surely the most JD and Marlboro battered voice this side of the Atlantic. I'm certainly not as you'd expect, a 40-a-day Marlboro man when you actually speak to me. But yeah, that vocal style just always resonated with me. No,
big accolades right there. That's high praise. And if you're going to emulate anyone, emulate the best. Dave Grohl, he's definitely got a sweet singing voice. I appreciate all of the Foo Fighter stuff that he's done as well as when he was with Nirvana. I don't really remember him taking the leads on many vocals back with that, but I know with Foo Fighters, I'm a fan. I'm definitely a fan. All right, so you say you're self-taught, completely self-taught. You never had any schooling for this, not even in grade school?
Not formally. I mean, I know no one's really self-taught, but yeah, my teachers have been books and then friends, YouTube videos, and anything I can glean from. It's amazing what you can pick up from other musicians. I've met loads of great people on the open mic circuit and then on the gig circuit. And musicians are some of the most generous people you could meet. They're eager to share anything they know, and help each other out.
That's a great thing about musicians, Brass Monkey. The best ones will teach you, will help you out. That's how we get ahead in this world, is bringing each other up. And primarily the What Makes You Famous podcast is a learning podcast. Let the people know a little bit about how you gained enough skill and confidence to go out and perform, at first on the open mics, as you said, and then to perform with Drowning Pool's lead singer. Hello. That's from when to when. How long was that process, Brass Monkey?
That process was quite a lot of years. A lot of years in the bedroom, about 5 years on the open mic circuit, then 2 years gigging. But it honestly wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the feedback I'd received and the generosity of the musicians that I've mentioned, and the encouragement I received. It sort of happened organically. I never expected it to happen. It happened over a long time, and if I added up all the work and all of the hours, it's been a lot of work, but it never felt like work. If I had a different experience or negative feedback in the start, then I might not have developed the thick skin for the inevitable mixed bag of gigs you end up with on the open mic circuit, because everyone has a bad gig eventually. If that had happened early on, then I might not have developed to the stage I've been lucky enough to get to. But everyone's been absolutely fantastic. So I've got to say it's because of the community, because of the music community in the Northeast.
All right, so take me through the life of Brass Monkey. Where were you born? Where were you raised? And what was your early life like? Family life and the likes. It's fun calling you Brass Monkey because that is a fantastic stage name. I'm guessing that's not your God-giving name, but hey, I'll keep calling you that because it's wonderful. So, but what were the humble beginnings, or if they even were humble, of Brass Monkey?
There's not really much to tell there. Was raised in a single-parent family in Sunderland, like most people. Sorry, not like most people, but in fairly humble circumstances, like most people around here. I did go to university, but I didn't end up working in the field I studied in, so it's not really worth mentioning.
It is worth mentioning because some people wonder where did you start and how did you make the turn to go into musicianship to entertaining people. What was the original idea? What did Brass Monkey want to be when he grew up?
Many things. None of them a musician. I would have wanted to be a musician if I thought it was possible, but it really did seem like pie in the sky at that age. Mm-hmm. I only did it for my own amusement, and it was just later in life. My goals when I started out in music, when I started getting positive feedback, were just to do local gigs and to entertain people. It's really, really fun entertaining people. To get people, it's fun playing a song you love. Full stop. When people are dancing to it, it's such a fantastic feeling. And when you write something and just one person gets up and actually starts dancing to something you've written, it's indescribable. So yeah, I was bitten by the bug in effect, and just got addicted to learning more and more songs, and then addicted to writing. And then when you start collaborating with other musicians, it's another feeling entirely. And when a song comes out better than you expected, better than you thought it could have, and every idea just builds from different parties, build on each other. It's, well, I don't want to keep using the same word, but yeah, it is very hard to describe.
It is. Brass Monkey, yes, very mysterious. He wants to brush by his college days and his college degree, which is fine. You're completely entitled to that. This is your story, and you can tell it any way you'd like. But when you first got into the idea, well, let me take music as a career, did you start straight away with the open mics right after you got out of your bedroom and I guess you were studying on YouTube with other musicians at that point, or when did you decide to get to the open mics? Let's start there. And what was your song of choice or your songs of choice?
My songs of choice when I started out were Foo Fighters, Chili Peppers, some Tenacious D as well. Jack Black makes music accessible for everyone. The very concept of, not to offend the legend that is Jack Black, but a slightly overweight guy just ripping open his shirt and singing at the top of his lungs and rocking out and doing a hell of a job of it. It's just, it seemed to make rock accessible to everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. if you've got the spirit for it, you can rock out. And I think Dave Grohl respects him for pretty much that reason. Appeared in quite a few of his videos, but yeah, I also did some slower stuff, some Eric Clapton, some Johnny Cash. Branched out a little bit of everything, but yeah, my favourite stuff to play has always been Foo Fighters and Chili Peppers.
There's a lot of American music in there, Mr. Brass Monkey. Anything from?
Yeah, I've been a huge sounding American. It's probably not deliberate, but about 90% of my influences are American. So I can't really help but sound American when I sing.
You do. You absolutely do. But then again, I listen to all the greats from England, all the great musicians from the UK, and for the most part, they completely brush away any semblance of a British accent and just rock out. I don't know how it happens and how that accent goes away, but for example, the Rolling Stones, when they really are rocking, you can hardly hear Mick Jagger's fantastic accent. He's got a beautiful speaking voice, but his singing voice it's universal. It seems when you sing these songs. I'm just thinking about things, but how did you get influenced by the American music as opposed to the music from England?
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Even the great English bands tend to sing in a more American accent. Another example is Ozzy Osbourne. He once joked in an interview when he was asked that question, how all of his songs would sound crap in a Brummie accent. Sorry, a Brummie accent, a Birmingham accent. With my mind, it doesn't really sound the same. There are some exceptions. The Arctic Monkeys keep their Sheffield accent quite intact and sound absolutely fantastic. But I'm not sure how well they do in America because of that. But yeah, so many of the great English bands do sound American. So when we're not watching American TV, we're listening to Brits sounding like Americans. So it's that's always going to be part of your subconscious. And when you start singing, just the way you have to hold A's when you sing, it's almost easier in an American accent. A lot of the different accents in England have more guttural parts in the pronunciation that you can't really sing the vowels through. So it seems to lend itself to singing.
It's fantastic, Brass Monkey. So it's not anything that you're consciously thinking about. It's just something that happens when you're singing. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm completely honest, my creative process isn't really conscious. I just do whatever feels right at the time, and when I review it, I might be completely unhappy with it, and it might be terrible. But if I do enough things, I hit on something meaty that I latch onto a really good hook that I would bob my head to, that I would dance to, and I just start building around it. But yeah, it's anything I've deliberately tried to plan out. I want to write something like this, doesn't come out how I want. So I've always been quite a logical person, but with music, it has to be intuitive.
Correct. Brass Monkey, when you got out of the bedroom, and I don't know how many songs you had in your catalog at that point, and I'm guessing you were doing covers. Were you writing music at that time as well? And what was the first song that you were comfortable and confident enough to get on stage at an open mic with? What was that first song? And any of the other things that I've thrown at you, any thoughts?
The first song was, the first one was actually Eric Clapton, Wonderful Tonight, but in a much deeper register, because I have a natural deep register. It took me a while to be able to sing in mid and falsetto. But the first one I was really comfortable with was Times Like These by the Foo Fighters again.
Yes.
It's a great song to sing, very entertaining song. Great riff at the start and then the bridge.
And at that point, did you feel like you were enough of a guitarist to? Well, I mean, Eric Clapton. Hello. Do you feel like you were able to to do Wonderful Tonight justice? And how did the crowd respond to that?
It was well back then. Obviously, I was at the worst I've ever performed in public, because from there. But it was a minimum of polite applause. It seems well received. I got positive feedback from a couple of people afterwards. I would probably be mortified if I saw a video of the performance now. But yeah, it's actually a surprisingly easy song to play. It's a lot of beginners pick that song because the basic version of it, just the finger picking, especially if you don't do it full tempo, is actually quite easy. But the difficulty is in the soloing, and carrying a drone note over that solo and getting the feel of it in the slides. But you don't need to do that at first. You can, and I slowly added that in as I became more confident with it, to get the full feel of the song.
How many people were at
as much of it at the with one guitar? So.
How many people were at the show, Brass Monkey?
That was an open mic with a normal attendance of about 30. I think that's how many people were there at the time. But
that's a pretty respectable open mic. I've played for 5 people. Don't worry.
I've played a few than that.
Yeah, I mean, but how did that make you feel going in front of people after practicing in your room for all that time?
That first time, honestly, quite terrifying. But there was, enough enjoyment there to make me go back. But it was part of it was the feedback for the host of that particular night, a man called Terry Gorman. Also, he used to release music under the name Acoustic Rebel, and absolutely fantastic musician. He was just incredibly supportive and giving advice that on things to practice that made me want to practice more. And something about performing in public you don't really hear is you're aware of every minute mistake, and it makes you cringe and it's horrible, but it gives you such momentum to practice because you never want to make that tiny mistake again.
Right. Absolutely. The more you play, the better you will be. And I could see that you're going to go far because you do have that mentality, that want, that desire to be better, to be the best you can be. And Brass Monkey, you played in front of these people, and how did you psych yourself up to play that first? I mean, because getting out in front of people for the first time, it has to be daunting, and you say it was terrifying, but how did you psych yourself up to get up in front of 30 people? That's 30 strangers, I'm guessing, maybe a couple of friends in there that you invited out, but how did you get the courage to do that?
Now that you've said that, I've realised that I've missed out a small part of the story, which sort of bridges that. Mm-hmm. The very first time was a couple of years ago before that, when a friend of mine was running an open mic in a village out in County Durham, which is outside the cities, and there were literally 3 people in the bar, 2 of whom I knew, and there were no musicians who turned up. I wasn't planning to play. Mm-hmm. He knew I played guitar, and he asked me to give him a break. So yeah, there was literally no pressure there, and no circumstances. I still felt pressure. One person I didn't know who wasn't paying attention, and 2 people who kind of had to clap. But yeah, that, even though that was nothing. When I came across an open mic about a year later, the first one in Sunderland that I'd seen open up, I kind of wanted to do it again. That kind of gave me the almost enough confidence to do it, and the rest was just blind stupidity in all honesty. But yeah, everything at every stage just went better than I deserved, and encouraged me to carry on and to get better.
Now, 3 people in a bar, that is an open mic. That is a humble beginning. That's where you start. That's what I wanted to hear. Brass Monkey. Okay, you played in front of 3 people. You've done that gig, that one, and you just want to get better and better and better. I'm guessing, and you want the crowd to get bigger because you do get. I mean, I'm a performer myself, and I get in front of, maybe 100 people on a Friday night, and I feel the energy from those people. I want the energy from those people, and even if it is 3 people that are paying attention, I want to know what they want to hear. And so how many songs, when you got out of your room, did you have? You say you had Wonderful Tonight and Times Like These, 2 great songs, 2 very different songs. One to get the lovers, the couples dancing, and then also Wonderful Tonight. Nah, I'm kidding. See what I did? I went the other way because Wonderful Tonight is the couples dance. But how many other songs had you been practicing at the time, between the time that you had those 3 people in the room to where you got to the nerve up 2 years later to do the other open mic? How many do you have in your repertoire at this point, Brass Monkey?
Wonderful Tonight was actually part of the book course that I first learned out of as a beginner, which also had quite a lot of a bit of Bob Dylan, Beatles, Oasis. That's the only song from there that I generally played in public. Mainly, I played the songs I learned for my own enjoyment after I developed that confidence. The first one I really challenged myself with was "Can't Stop" by the Chili Peppers, which people repeatedly told me couldn't possibly work on acoustic, and they may be right, but I certainly almost make it work.
Yeah.
Danny California by them, Best of You by the Foo Fighters as well. I also, I mentioned Tenacious D before, and I actually do an acoustic version of Tribute, which tends to go down well.
Well, Kyle Gass. I mean, not to belittle Jack Black myself, but Kyle Gass, an amazing acoustic guitarist. I wish I had a third, a small percentage of the talent that he has. He's definitely the musician. I know Jack Black. He can scat with the rest of them. Most of his guitar play is lip service, lip motion. But
Kyle Gass kind of put up a video, a tutorial of the song, so he was nice enough to teach the world directly how to play it.
How about that? See, I had no idea. I have 3 guitars myself, and I really know 2 or 3 chords. I need to pick them up, but I spend a lot of my time talking on this microphone and playing the music of the fine musicians such as yourself that create things out of thin air. It seems, you put stuff into the universe. In fact, I checked out your YouTube, and you already have 2 songs that I was able to listen to that you have created and put out into the world. You have Breadline and Nowhere. Tell me, how did you go from covers to where you are now, to creator?
I think I mentioned Terry Gorman before, an open mic host who first encouraged me to start writing and trialing originals. I have to give full credit to him, but I'd also like to give a shout out to my producer, Neil Gibson, who I actually met. He was, again, hosting an open mic. And you mentioned the gigs he played to 1 or 2 people, but yeah, I've played so many open mics where you think no one is listening, and it always seems like that, but then things happen, or you find out a radio host has actually seen you at a lot of them, even though you didn't know they were there. But he was hosting one night, and he also produces other people's tracks. He produced an album for a musician called Jonathan Ono, heavy punk influences, which sounded absolutely fantastic, the way he'd mixed and mastered it. And he saw something in me. He really liked my songs and offered to produce them, to help me add a band backing, mix master them. So yeah, a lot of the reason they sound the way they do is him.
It's one thing to be a creator, a songwriter, a singer, but it's quite another thing to be a producer. And it's, I find that the best tracks are collaboration. They're always a collaboration. It's never one person that does it all. And it's good that you have a producer that can flesh out your idea. How long did it take from you putting pen to paper and writing out the lyrics of that song? And did you have a melody already in mind, or was it mostly poetry, Brass Monkey?
If you talk about Breadline, I actually wrote it very quickly. I'd spent a lot of time writing stuff that I wasn't happy with, so it's not like it was easy. But when I hit on the chord progression, or the power chord progression, and that the main rhythm of the verse, the rest pretty much wrote itself. It just came out, and I just got out of the way. But I performed that for Ed Open Mics for years before I met Neil and got the chance to record it. So it's, I've been polished in that time.
It just amazes me that you can create something, and put it out into the world, and it's amazing. And it has such a distinctive style with your voice. It's so raspy. You're speaking, and all my listeners are listening to a man who has the smoothest voice, just a very nice speaking voice. And if you listen to him sing, it's like another person. It's a whole nother person. Do you feel like you become possessed, or is it something that takes over that makes you sing in the style that you do? I always liked the way rockers screamed, and I started out doing Foo Fighters and Tenacious D before I had much confidence in my voice, but I could always pull off that style. So I've found that you can increase your singing ability, but you can't change your voice if you don't. Whatever you don't like about it, you can't change what your voice actually is. So you've got to lean into your strengths, and that was always my strength: singing baritone, deep parts, and rock growling. And I've always loved songs like that as well. I mean, don't get me wrong; I would love to be able to carry a tune like Frank Sinatra, but that's not my strength. I mean, okay, Brass Monkey, you're fantastic. Just I enjoyed the two songs that I got to hear on YouTube, or at least the piece of the other song. I didn't get to hear the entire of the other one. But let's go to when you started on open mics, from that time until last night, your big show, was that the biggest show that you've done to date?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
From the first open mic, how long ago was that? And what have you been doing, training yourself? And you say you've had no formal singing training. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been training yourself to sing and play guitar. And what have you been doing gig-wise? Was it for people, or was it all open mics? Or have you gotten any gigs that were able to pay some of your bills? Are you, because a lot of times a musician and artist start with the word starving musician, starving artist. Are you making this into a career? Is it working? I'm
starting to. I haven't quit my day job yet.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm making money from cover gigs. Originals gigs are a mixed bag. You don't really do them for the money. You do them to get your name out there until you're more established. But yeah, I'm actually very new to the original circuit. I played the Music Lounge Stockton, next to Middlesbrough, just south of where I'm from, still in the northeast. Surf Cafe Tynemouth, which is a small but very well-respected music venue next near Newcastle. And I played Newcastle Centre last night. Those have been my 3 originals gigs so far within the past couple of months. For the past couple of years, I've been doing cover gigs around pubs, which do pay. And it's a lot of fun playing covers. It really is.
Oh yeah.
It's not quite as much fun as getting people dancing to your own music. And when you're playing originals gigs, people are there for the music. They're there to hear something new. They're completely engaged, and it's a completely different atmosphere. Even if it's a smaller crowd, it's still an amazing atmosphere.
Oh yeah, Brass Monkey. I mean, I've been a DJ since 1986, and playing music for people, and I don't play anything original of my own. It's all from people like you, creators. But I've worked with a lot of cover bands over the years, and a good cover band can make some money. Working weddings, working parties, working bars, and you'll get people dancing, and you'll get a good feeling from that as well. But from what I'm understanding, you must get such a high from having people listening to your own creations and having them respond and dance and say, "Wow, that was great." What is the better feeling? Yes, you have to make some money, but am I correct in presuming that the better feeling is when you're playing your own song, Brass Monkey?
Absolutely, especially when you start seeing people mouth the words that you've written back to you when they've sunk into their head, and you've engaged with them. Something that's come out of your head is in their head. You have that moment of common understanding, which I suppose is what music is all about in the end.
I can feel it. All right, Brass Monkey, take me through. Take me through Northeast England, and where else have you played? Have you played outside of England, or is it primarily playing in the home country, in the homeland?
No, I haven't been outside the country. I haven't even been outside the Northeast so far. I am advertising willing to travel, but yeah, I haven't had any bookings outside of it. I've played just about everywhere within the Northeast, though. Northumberland, Yorkshire, Redcar, Guisborough, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Newcastle, Tynemouth. It's been getting a lot busier lately. I've been gigging for around 2 years, but when I started gigging, it could be 2 gigs in a month or 2 months without a gig and then having one. So it's certainly wasn't competing with my day job at the time. But yeah, now I've started releasing and started getting more offers. It's starting to snowball and starting to gain momentum. So I'm gonna have to seriously reconsider how I spend my time. And
excellent, Brass Monkey. I mean, what I'm understanding is we're catching a star on the rise. You are, 2 years. You've been perfecting your craft. You've been putting things together. You have 2 songs that are produced. Am I right, or do you have others?
I have 2 released so far. I have 2 more ready to record. I want to release early next year.
Oh, fantastic.
I'd like to then start recording an album, but I've been all of the advice seems to point towards releasing singles until you're a big enough name to release an album. And once you've released all 12 singles individually, no one wants them as an album. So I'm honestly not sure if that'll happen. But if I get enough traction after 4 tracks, then yeah, I'd like to string something together as one body of work and release it.
Yeah. Does anybody make albums anymore, Brass Monkey? I've spoken to a lot of musicians on this podcast and even outside of the podcast. And you're right. Singles. That's what they do. 99 cents a song. Hopefully you get most of that money back. But, I miss albums. I do. I miss the artwork on albums. I miss pulling out an LP, a vinyl, and just looking at it for the first time, reading the liner notes. Does anybody even do that anymore? I've seen some albums at the local, most of the time it's like a video store or something that, some kind of entertainment store, and maybe there's a little section with the albums. But is that what you want to do? Do you want to put a vinyl out with 12 or so of your songs, of your original songs? Because I would love to see that, Brass Monkey.
Would be a really nice thought, wouldn't it? It's a lyric sheet inlay would probably be seen as a really original marketing gimmick these days.
Yes, yes. All the kids wouldn't know what to do with it. They didn't know that. Hey, that happened quite often when you pulled out an album, a nice 12-inch, and put it on your turntable. And some of the kids that are listening right now are wondering what a 12-inch and a turntable is. They just don't know. Grandpa, what is a turntable?
Yeah, I think they actually make digital ones these days, don't they, to simulate being able to spin. But,
I gave up my Technique turntables in '99, and I've been using CDJs and MP3 controllers ever since. I got my Pioneers, and they just don't feel exactly the same, but they do the job, and they're a little bit easier to carry around if for a mobile DJ. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, you save a lot of roadies on modern amps.
Right. I've been looking for a roadie since '86. So if you know anybody, but I digress. Now I did notice that. What's that? Now, do you roadie for yourself, or do you have people that help you set up?
Yeah, roadie for myself, full PA setup. I've got used to it. Got used to it now. At first, it was a bit of a clumsy mess, carting around heavy things through narrow doors and bumping into crowds. But you get used to it like anything else. You develop a technique for carrying the bass cabs and setting everything up quickly. I'd probably will just do the modern thing and end up releasing singles if it turns out to be best. But I do myself miss an album being one body of work as well, like a Pink Floyd album where it would take you on a journey throughout, and the tracks out of order wouldn't actually make sense because they lead into each other. Or an English artist known on the streets called Mike Skinner, who the album literally told a story through each song.
It absolutely did.
Sorry, yeah.
It absolutely did. Now, I'm looking at one of your glamour pictures, your profile pictures on your Brass Monkey Facebook page, and I'm noticing your gear. You have the Mackie. It looks like the V3, the V2s maybe, and then like a Chauvet. Is that normally what you bring to a gig?
That was actually the house PA.
Oh, okay.
When I was playing Oxjam Festival in Newcastle.
Oh, it's nice.
It was great getting to play through. Great sound engineer.
Wow, it's fantastic. Well, it's good that I'd love to be able to come and plug and play to a place, but for the most part, I'm setting up my own stuff, and that's one of the hardships of being a mobile musician is you have to set up your own gear, especially in for a solo acoustic, and most of the time it's not completely acoustic because you do have some kind of a PA system. I mean, sometimes you can sit on a corner with a guitar and make a couple bucks that way. I guess what do they call that? Busking. But so what? Okay, you've been doing gigs, and it brought you to. How did you get involved with last night's gig? Because that sounds huge to me. How many people were at that gig, and how did you get involved with that, Brass Monkey?
It was for such a big act. It was a fairly small attendance, I would say. About 50 people at the gig, but all of them fully engaged. I brought seven of them along myself. I have to drag them along from Sutherland because I'm not as well known in Newcastle yet.
How far away was that from your house?
In America, this is going to seem like a ridiculously small distance. It's around 12 miles. But, there's no telling how long that can be with the traffic and road closures, etc. I know you guys can think of driving 200 miles as no big thing, but...
No, 12 miles sounds very short to me. I think I drove 12 miles to get to work this morning. So, Yes, but you say traffic is a bear.
Yeah, on a clear road it'd be nothing, but yeah, when you're if you're going at walking pace, then it can seem a long distance.
Well, all right. So 50. I mean, that's a very intimate affair. But how did you get involved with Ryan McCombs?
Well, I was, in all honesty, it was blind luck. I was after I released my first single and started sending it absolutely wherever I could. Any promotion company, any radio station's email address I could get hold of, I would draft an email to them. And SSD Promotions started sending me emails inviting me to apply for support slots for big acts they were arranging around Newcastle, and they arranged acts in all of the big venues, the O2, Think Tank, Riverside, the Clooney. So I started applying for slots, and they then emailed me back offering me one that hadn't been available to apply for. So they must have just thought I would be a good match, offering to let me support Ryan. So it was it came out of almost out of the blue for me, but as a result of a lot of legwork and a lot of contacting people.
Fantastic, Brass Monkey. So I know it was just last night, but how was the feedback? And did you get to talk to Ryan at all? And what did he think?
I did. He's a really nice guy. He was doing quite an intimate show, so the crowd got to know him in between the songs, as he was describing his life in England and his moving over for his wife, and people recognizing him, thinking he couldn't possibly be him, wandering around like looking at him for a while before approaching him. Are you who I think you are? Well, that depends who you think I am. You're the guy from Soil? Yes. What the F are you doing in Swindon?
I often ask that to myself. I'm from Miami, Florida, which is a humble small town of 7 million, and here I am in Conway, Arkansas, with 50,000. So yeah, it's amazing where people end up or where they find themselves. So I'm sure that was a hoot finding Ryan McCombs in such a small venue or an intimate venue, and then you supporting him. That could give you so much more opportunity, and I hope it does, Brass Monkey. I really do. So what's on the horizon? You say you have some songs that are ready to be put into the studio and the tracks laid down. Now, before we talk about those, what about the songs that didn't quite make the cut, and why didn't they make the cut? I'm imagining you have notebooks full of songs that were almost were and never will be's. Is that the case? Do you write in notebooks or do you do it all on computer?
Yeah, I'm fairly old fashioned that way. I mainly jot by hand, unless something's already complete, and then I'll put it on the computer. But my random ideas that never made it are all drawn by hand, and it would be like opening the contents of your dreams to the world, I suppose. I don't want people to see all of the bad stuff. And you're always, if you're trying to create, you're never going to be perfect every time.
But Brass Monkey, it's all subjective. I can imagine that some of the things you might think are terrible might be gems, might be just gems that need to be polished up. I wouldn't discount them just yet. Have you showed them to any of your editing staff, or your producer, for example, or just you just don't want them out there?
There is a song called Riddle, it's more ballady and in more of a Bob Dylan style, I suppose. That I trialed last night, and it went down surprisingly well in the crowd that was there for thrash metal. I wasn't planning to record that, so I might reconsider that and come back to that one. and branch out into that. But it depends on the audience feedback. If there are some things that I would just be, I know personally are just not good enough to trial in public. But anything else, I'll trial it in public, and if there's good feedback, I'll trial it a bit more. I'll try and polish it and see if it's worth recording. But if people don't like it, then people don't like it. If I've tried it 20 different places and people still don't seem to like it, then I just let it die a death at that point.
Oh, I mean, if you like it, somebody else is going to like it. I tell people that all the time. Some people ask, "Hey, should I try this endeavor? Hey, do you want to see that happen? Do you want to hear that style, or do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Would that be something that you would want to hear or you would want to do?" And if the answer is yes to any of these, go try it. Go try it. Convince a manager to let you sit in front of an audience and do it. I talk to stand-up comedians as well, and that's something that you have to do in front of people. And and I imagine working out a new song has to be almost similar or very similar when you get up in front of a crowd and see and hear the response. And wow, to have the crowd mouthing the words with you, that like they've heard this song before and they like it so much, they have cleared some space in their gray matter for your words and your lyrics. That's got to be a hoot. You have to be jazzed, Brass Monkey.
They've left the nice warm houses and travelled out through the harsh weather, turned down other offers, other things they could be doing, to stand there and watch me bang some strings and use my voice in as entertaining a way as I can manage. And that's, it's a special feeling. I mean, the one company house, but it's a fantastic feeling that people will actually come out and travel just to see you, just to hear you, just to experience the things you've created, and agree that it's, well, coming back to the writing process, agree with you that it's something that would make your head bounce, because that's the last real test. Whatever anyone else says, being honest with yourself, does this make your feet stamp? Does this involuntarily make your head bounce? Does this want to make you want to get up and move a little? And if it doesn't do that, then that's the ultimate litmus test, isn't it?
Brass Monkey, it's the dream of so many kids to be rock stars, and you're living that dream. You're heading in that direction. I mean, the ultimate goal is to quit the day job and go full time. I mean, do you have anybody tying you down? Is there a Mrs. Brass Monkey or are you a free man ready to go off into the world and do your thing?
There's a significant other, and I'm not really looking to be a star. I just want to get, I want to make a living out of it and get enough money to, get nice equipment, nice instruments, to be able to make more music. But yeah, I just want to be able to make music and have people hear it. I'm not sure how much money there is in it in the days of free streaming and Spotify, but it's, you can make, and I know several people who are making a living out of it. If things keep on going as they are at the moment, and people respond to my new releases as well as they have to my existing ones, then yeah, I'll be able to do this full time and just get up every day and play guitar and make music, and that is the dream.
For sure, Mr. Brass Monkey, and being a touring musician, you do have to give up family. And yes, if you have a significant other, there's a lot of decisions to be made there, to make money these days, being a musician, I don't think they're selling a lot of records. I think it's all live now. Because of the electronic age, and ever since Napster came out and even Spotify and the ability to listen to all your music for free, the only way that the musician is making any kind of a living is off of a live performance and maybe some of the swag, the merch that you sell afterwards. Go ahead.
Tiny bit from there, adding it all up.
I lost you for a moment there.
Hello?
Yeah, if you can repeat what you just said. What was it?
So, yeah, from apparently T-shirt sales, badge sales, Patreon, people have to look at several different small channels to make a little bit of income and add them all up these days and, get creative, do video content. And I'm not really at that stage yet. And it's not really what I got into it for. I can't see myself doing Lewis Capaldi style podcasts every day. But yeah, apparently people have to be very, very diverse in order to make a living out of it these days, but it is doable.
Well, I see some of the local musicians here in the Arkansas area. I go to some of their shows, and I encourage everyone listening to the sound of my voice to go and support your local live artists, because they're entertaining you, and they got to pay some bills too, for that matter. But I've seen them do their shows and put on a performance for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, sometimes even 4 hours, and after that show, as tired and as sweaty and as drained as they are, they still have to go out to the merch table and try to put on a happy face and try to sell some of their T-shirts and bumper stickers to make any kind of any kind of a living. And there are no more record sales, and that is sad. I used to live for going to the record store and thumbing through the vinyls, and I know we've mentioned that a little bit, and hopefully that Brass Monkey album will go out and will make you millions millions of pounds, if you will. But that is the dream.
That would be absolutely fantastic. But on a positive note about the vinyl, I did read an article. I didn't fact check it, so I might be talking BS. But and the article did claim that vinyl sales have just outstripped CD sales for the first time in around 15 years. So people have bought more vinyl than CDs, and I know they don't buy many CDs these days either. But it is a nice thought.
Well, I encourage no one to check that fact, because I like fuzzy facts here on the What Makes You Famous podcast. That came straight from Brass Monkey's mind, and you take it as fact, dear listener. All right. Well, what's coming up next on the horizon for Brass Monkey? What's in the near future and beyond?
In the near future, I have a gig this Friday in Middlesbrough at Charlie's. That'll be a cover gig, but I'll be slipping in a couple of my original songs if no one minds, because I enjoy playing them. And it's going to be fairly quiet over Christmas, so I'm looking to release my next single in. I'm going to be quiet while I'm rounding off the final touches and recording it, but then I'll be looking to release in February and try to make a lot of noise in the lead up to that.
And you say you have a band that's about to back you up. What was the name of your band again?
No. I do have prospective band members, but yeah, it's can't really name them at the moment.
It's
very up in the air. So,
well, very exciting, Mr. Brass Monkey. How do the people get a hold of you online, and how do you want them to connect with you?
Right, there are several pubs called Brass Monkey as well. So the best way to find my social media is to search Funk Monkey Metal on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. That's FUNK, nothing rude. All one word, all lowercase. Or email me at funkmonkeymetal@hotmail.com if they're looking to book me or use my music for any purposes. That's funkmonkeymetal@hotmail.com. Sorry, I know it's hard to remember these things when they're spouted all at once. Just look on Spotify, iTunes, any of I believe I'm on Pandora as well. I can't access it from the UK, but I've had a few pennies from streams of Pandora, so I know some people are listening to it in the US. if you search Brass Monkey Breadline, that'll bring up my first single. And you'll be able to find my second one linked to that. To listen to my music for free, or if you're feeling flush, you can even buy it.
Hey, I encourage everyone to at least put it on their Spotify playlist, throw a few pennies Brass Monkey's way. And I do know that you have a website, and I'm looking at your website. It's a great website, but with a terrible URL. So I'm going to put the URL in the show notes. I know it's brash-monkey.uniweb, and I'll put it in the show notes so people can find the overview of Brass Monkey and all the things. And there's, a lot of good information about your about, and some press releases in there, and some accolades that you've had from local radio stations there in England, and some reception that you've had. So kind of just, it's a good website, but it needs a better URL.
I am to get that sorted. You can find it on social media, or if you do find the website, if you go straight to the bottom, you can find links to all of my music and social media.
Oh, absolutely.
It's.
So
I do need to sort that out.
I'll put it in the show notes so people can find out more about the Brass Monkey, the very mysterious Brass Monkey. I think his mom might have named him Brass Monkey. No, yeah, I guess why Brass Monkey?
Several reasons. One comedy one being it sounds like a pan shop Iron Man, but my strings were 80% brass at the time. I'm from the north, and I handle the cold a lot better than the heat. I swim in the North Sea often, and it's Brass Monkeys means cold over here. I'm not sure if it does over there.
It's a Beastie Boys song. I have no idea. I thought it was a drink.
I didn't know that. Apparently the Beastie Boys songs is based on a beer, but I didn't actually know that when I came up with the name. I found that out later, and ironically enough, I'd got absolutely trashed on an IPA called Yeasty Boys for the first time when I found out there was a song called Brass Monkey about a beer called Brass Monkey by the Beastie Boys. So that was, it seemed ironic.
Well, you've got Brass Monkeys.
That's fantastic as well. Very tasty. Yeah, get a chance to drink it.
You've got Brass Monkeys, Mr. Brass Monkey.
Yeah.
Any last words for the people?
Just thank you for having me on, and thank you everyone who's listening to my music. I'm really glad that it's going down so well. I wrote it as a cathartic track for anyone who's gone through a bad time. It's an aggressive, subliminally optimistic approach to bad circumstances. So if you're having a bad time, give it a listen, and I hope it helps you get on.
Well, there you have it, party people. Brass Monkey. He is so cool, man. And that accent. Come on, people. The Americans dig the English accents. I appreciate it. And your singing style, man, if you haven't heard Brass Monkey's music, I encourage you to go check it out. Do it right now. You could pause this podcast. In fact, you could stop listening to this podcast. Go listen to his music. Brass Monkey. And when you're looking him up, it's at Funk Monkey Metal. At Funk Monkey Metal. Just commonly spelled. F-U-N-K Monkey Metal. And you'll find him on the Instagram, the Twitter, and the Facebook. And follow Brass Monkey. Find out where you can get his songs. He's got 2 that are out there already produced, and he's got a few more on the way, it seems. And I'm looking forward to hearing the entire album, the whole Brass Monkey album. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Brass Monkey, for being on the program, What Makes You Famous. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here. Radio What, the music you want, with another great quote. There are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Albert Einstein. The music you want is on RadioWhat.com. If you like what you hear, follow What Makes You Famous social media. Use the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Follow on Facebook at What Makes You Famous. Follow on Instagram at What Makes You Famous. Follow on Twitter at Makes Famous. And follow on YouTube at Keys Dan. Leave What Makes You Famous podcast a review and subscribe. Listen to What Makes You Famous podcast on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, and almost anywhere you find podcasts. Tell your story on my podcast, What Makes You Famous. Call 501-470-6386 and leave a message to set up a time. You can support What Makes You Famous using the PayPal link, paypal.me/KeysDan. Email info@radiowhat.com. What Makes You Famous podcast is a production of Keys Dan Enterprises Incorporated at keysdan.com. Thank you for listening. Be on Radio What. Call 501-470-6386. Say your name, where you're from, and you're listening to What? The music you want is on RadioWhat.com.